Okay, there's a collector on the corner. Yesterday morning I was on Facebook. I was looking at the marketplace like I always do. And down here at Raven Den, which is about 15 miles down the road, there's a couple of people had this couple items advertised. One of them's this little tiller. Another one was a 5-horse motor, Briggs engine, flathead engine. And I knew that little black 5-horse engine was new enough that it would have electronic ignition. And luckily this motor here was it's an 82, this engine here, so it's electronic ignition too. But when I first got it going, the starter was screaming and it sucked the hose out, the start rope out and suck it back in and all that. And this here throttle didn't have no effect on it because there was a little spring. I've got my finger on it right now. I put one on it. A little spring right there for the throttle. It's got an air vane governor in it. That black motor is a 87, the 5-horse, and it's got the governors down in the crankcase. But this has got the bigger fuel tank on it. And it needs a diaphragm in it because it don't stay in tune. This bolt right here at the top of the carburetor was missing. I had to put one of them on there, had a vacuum leak. It smokes a little bit and there's low oil. And it's chain drive. And on the other side there's a plug. You can't see it from here. The other side there's a plug here, you put the oil in and there's where you check it, and there's a chain drive in there. And I put this cover on, had a white one on it, and it was screaming, and when I pulled it apart it all fell out. It was shot. And the reason I wanted this tiller is this right here. It's light. It don't weigh all that much. And I can carry it over to the other place and put it in the bed of my truck by myself and everything. And I notice everything most of the time, and I was looking at the pictures, and somebody swapped these tines from side to side. See how they're going forward? This is the sharp side of them, and they did that where it'd be more aggressive. The tines is on backwards. And this spot right here, this is where we had that 70 Chevrolet truck that we sold parked. And them places where you park an old vehicle, the grass and everything dies out underneath it, nothing will grow back for a couple of years. And I wanted something growing back in here right away, so I tilled it up with that other heavy tiller I got. And then I've come back and I have put this white stuff down here on the ground. That's wood ashes. I put that wood ashes on there, and I've tilled most of it in. This is the last little bit I hadn't tilled in. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sprig bermuda grass here. And them goats love, them sheep love that bermuda grass. Anyway, so if this tiller will start, I hope it will. Found another rock.
Yes.
Don't say I never give you nothing. Here's your present. Anyway. anyway, so what I've done, I've got a 5-gallon bucket. As I'm weeding in my garden, I give the Dallas grass to the pigs, and the Bermuda grass, I save it back for, I was planning on doing this. And the way I get them sprigs is with this lid right here. Which this ground's harder than this in my garden. May not be too successful. But right there, that's a little bit of Bermuda sprigs. And this little bitty stuff, that's some clover. I don't know what kind of clover it is. Anyway, I'm gonna take
Itty
this
bitty
sprig.
clover.
Dump them in the ground good. Then, after I get them all in the ground real good, I'm gonna cover that up with these old bed springs I got laying here. And then I'm gonna lay these old chain link fence gates on top of that.
Well, just last week we were using that one in the bedroom.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. And then I'm gonna really water this heavy with my garden hose. I got where the garden hose to reach. Barely. And I'm gonna let that grow up, and the sheep won't be able to graze on it with them bed springs and that chain link fence.
What are you talking about? We'll look out here and that ram will be wearing bed springs on his head.
Well, he might try to do that. He kind of wants to do what he wants to do. Kind of like Randall, he wants to do what he wants to do.
Yes.
But anyway, I bought that little tiller. It's a smoker. It burns oil. And a lot of times what it is, you don't know what kind of oil people use and stuff. And a lot of people got the idea that little one-cylinder motors, you can't use detergent oil. You're supposed to use the 30-weight non-detergent. And what I'll do, I'll warm that. I got some more tilling I'm going to do over here. I'll warm that up real good and hot and drain the oil out and put some Rotel 1540 in there. And maybe if the rings is gummed up, you know, the oil ring gets gummed up, sometimes it makes some smoke. But it's not going to foul the plug out because electronic ignition, somebody's put an automotive type plug and lead on there.
Goody.
But I need to take that carburetor and put my sonic cleaner and clean it. I've done put a magnet in the gas tank, put a little chem tool in with the gas. Stole that out of the trunk of Debbie's car. I seen she had some in her trunk.
You turd. I mean, you stinkweed.
You can delete that, people. But anyway, I want to get that.
You even stole my oil I had in my car.
She had 2 gallons of oil, and I put them up. Took them out of the trunk of her car, afraid they'd get punctured, leak all over the trunk of her car.
Well, I guess I know not to put my boyfriend in the trunk.
Yeah, it might get punctured, leak all over in the back. Anyway, I want grass to grow here.
Well, looks to me like you planted cars all over the place.
What I did before I tilled this, if you look over at the OM, I subsoiled it with that subsoiler.
I see it.
I backed up there and I drug it through there and busted that up pretty deep.
Can I take that and go through the house? Because it needs to be busted.
I know these kind of videos don't get a lot of views or anything like that.
No, they suck.
But it's somewhat we do, and part of it, what it is,
Yes,
everything around, there's a saying that says, the country, if the cities disappeared and the industry disappeared, the farms would still survive. But if the farms all disappeared, the industry in the cities would perish. And that's pretty much true, and I like to see stuff grow. And I don't, it irritates me to see a bare spot of ground that's not doing something. If you got a car parked on it, that's one thing. But just sitting out there, and every time it rains, a little more of the organic material and light stuff on the top. And I've mowed a big lot of these old bitter weeds. And I've missed some. Just like this right here.
I want you guys to know that bed spring hurt when we were laying on it.
See how that root is? What that plant's doing, it's sucking up the moisture and the nutrients and stuff the grass could use. And it's shading that bermuda
Then why
grass.
are you planting so much of it?
It just grows. And this year we had a bumper crop. And believe it or not, I've run around here with a push mower and mowed this.
Because you're not too bright.
You know, good exercise for me.
Yeah, heat stroke.
Push mower. But anyway, I set my mower pretty high so that it cut it off. Then if it sprouts back, I can lower my mower down and mow it one more time.
Okay.
And I might get rid of it.
Well, why'd you throw that down? It's liable to suck
It ain't
up.
gonna grow back.
How do you know?
I approved it, it ain't gonna grow back.
How do you know?
But today's the day for transplanting.
Okay.
So today's
well,
the day I decided to do
get
it.
to work.
Well,
You're roasting me.
Well, I'll do it after the rest of the video. They understand what I'm after.
What are you after?
I got a story I want to tell.
Cool.
I noticed a lot of stuff, just like when I seen the pictures of Tiller, I noticed some times was on there, been reversed. And I noticed it had the larger gas tank on it, and I was hoping it'd be electronic ignition, and it was. It's not a points ignition engine. And I had one like that one time before, about 40 years ago. And it had a 4-horse motor on it.
Yes,
My same light-made tiller. And my kids took the engine off of it and put on a go-kart. And I didn't say nothing. I just let them. I rode the go-kart too. So that's the last time it ever worked, and I don't know where it's even at. It's probably over in the bushes over at the other place somewhere. But I did have one like that. And I've got a couple of Troy belts and stuff. But I wanted a little light one like that again, where it'd be easy for me to pick it up and put it in the bed of the truck by myself. So, I got a story to tell.
Okay.
I was at this guy's place one time.
I thought that was the story.
And he had a barn over there. And I noticed the outer edges of that barn wasn't very high off the ground. It looked like it was only about 7 foot off the ground.
That's taller
6
than
and a half,
me.
7 foot. There's real low to the ground, the two sides. And we go down there and we go inside the barn, and both them sides, I can tell they've been untreated, but they was hand-hewn railroad ties. And they was pretty. Because it'd been in out of the weather inside that barn, I guess, and put up there. And he had them put up for uprights on both sides. But for rafters, they used peeled cedar poles. And for cross pieces across all them ties, they used a big cedar pole, big cedar log they'd split in half. And right down the center, they used larger cedar, taller, and it made a pretty steep roof. Cedar poles and tin all over the side of it. But they had them hewn ties all around the edges. So I'm looking at it and I asked him how come that was. And he said, well, we built this back during the Depression. And he said, what happened? He said, my dad and my brother and I, we decided we'd make some money. He said, so we went down there to Raven Den, and the railroad was buying ties, railroad ties. And they wanted them to be perfect. They had to be 8 foot 6 inches long, 7 inches by 9 inches, and not have no knots, and be hewn everybody hewed ties by hand then, be hewed with a broad axe, you know, and be really pretty. Had to really be good. And they won post oak. He said, so we went and cut the best post oak logs we could find, and he said we drug them up in the shade with the old team. Spent time hewing them out, and he said we hewed out 20 ties. He said we put them on the wagon, hooked that old team of mules to them, and we started out from over by Raven Den Springs to Raven Den. And he said when we got that steep hill, got part way up, and them old mules couldn't pull it any further. He said, so we had to take half them ties off and stack them up along the side of the road. He said we made the top of the hill with other 10 ties and unloaded them. Went back down there and got that first 10 put on there and went back up top the hill and loaded them up again. He said we made it down the railroad, and he said we was really proud of them ties. And he said that tie buyer come out and looked at them, and he commented on how pretty they was and everything. And he said, we'll load the first one. And he said, he's there with a steel tape measure. And he said, we know we made them perfect. And he said, boys, can't buy them. What? He said, they're off. What do you mean they're off? He said, they're 1/4 inch off on the width, they're 1/4 inch off on the broadside. And they're a little less than 8 foot 6 inches. And he said what happened, we'd used a wooden ruler to measure with, and he said it was shrunk or warped or not marked right, and it was a 1/4 inch off. He said we did all that work for nothing. He said so we brought them back home and stacked them up and covered them up. And he said later on when we got some money, we built this little barn down here and used them for each side. He said so we didn't make any money hewing ties by hand with a broad axe. Yeah. That's the way luck runs a lot of times, I guess, with people. But we're going to get some grass growing here, hopefully. We got some garden stuff we're growing. I happen to water everything, but me and Debbie's lucky. We got a 450-foot deep well with a good pump in it. And she's doing laundry right now, so I'm going to have to wait till she's done with the laundry before I do my heavy-duty watering. And I would
Are y'all done?
Almost. I would take and turn this camera around and show you what she looks like, but she's wearing a bikini today because it's so hot, and she ain't about to let me see. Show her. I wouldn't lie, would I? So we'll say goodbye and good luck to you.
Thank y'all for watching, and be sure and like and subscribe and comment below.
What was you showing?
An old troll.
Oh, I'll leave you with one piece of sage advice. You can lead a horse to water, but you got to be strong and determined if you aim to drown him. You ain't gonna ask me why you'd want to drown that horse?
That's just stupid.
What? Ask me why you.
Why do you want to drown your horse?
Because he kicked in the mouth and knocked all our front teeth out.
You're a bozo.
That's all right. I'm a happy bozo.
You won't be happy when I get done with you. I'm gonna give you some permanent makeup. Well, y'all have a great day, and you all need to come over here and kick Randall's butt for having us sleep on these bed springs. Luckily, well, I don't know which side was Randall's. Well, anyway, thank y'all for watching, and you have a great day. And be sure and like and subscribe and comment below. And there's my Pontiac before I go. Bye!